Hello, friends, and welcome to the Frames for Thought podcast. This is episode 10, and with you is actor Mark, and always...
animator Alex.
And today we're going to be talking about healthy habits, both physical and mental things that you should do to help yourself in these creative pursuits and in this industry. Let's go. Alex,
Mark.
let us talk about things that are healthy to do. Would you like to start us off?
Celery, carrots, vegetables.
Vegetables, especially your mixed greens, like your romaine lettuces and your spinaches. Get those in you. That's good and healthy. That's what you want to do.
Smoothies.
Smoothies? Oh, those green smoothies? No, thank you. No, thank you. I will skip those. Not a big fan. But anyways, what kind of inspired this for me to talk about is I've been rereading a lot of my acting books, and one of them is Acting for the Screen by Tony Barr, and one of the things he talks about is for musicians, like, you know, if you play the French horn is your instrument, so you need to take care of it. As an actor, what you have is your body and your mind, and that's what you kind of got to keep tuned, and you got to keep clean, and you just got to keep going with it. So I know from the actor perspective, I would argue that probably the most important thing to kind of keep balanced and healthy is your mental state, because the life of an actor, for the most part, is a life of rejection, a lot of auditions and a lot of no's. Not always the case for everybody, but every actor at some point in their career will come across a show or two that they're really passionate about that they never get into, or they'll come across a period of time where maybe for 2 years you don't book anything. It is common, this does happen. But on the flip side as well, you'll come across points in your career where all you do is book. Like, that's all that happens. You're the hot stuff right now, and so you just ride that wave while it's going. So I want to kind of address a little bit of that mental anguish you kind of feel from this like life of rejection that you get into as an actor. I think what's really important as a working actor is to always sort of look on the positive side of things. Something I learned from doing a lot of film auditions is that you shouldn't so much enter the room with the mentality of, I gotta book this, I need to book this, I have to have this. That's gonna make it so difficult if you don't get it. A more healthier way to enter that room, which I've been doing, which helps me, is, did I make an impression? Was I entertaining? Because if you entertain casting, even if you're not right for that part, because there's a million reasons why someone might not get casted, and it will have nothing to do with your performance. So even if you don't get casted, if you were entertaining and memorable, that casting director is going to keep calling you back over and over and over, because they know that you're talented, they know that you're entertaining, and they know that you're going to fit into something at some point, and they want to help you get there. So keep that kind of going through your head. Keep the positives of these interactions as you're doing them. You might go into a casting and you felt that, like, oh yeah, my pacing in that scene was perfect. You know, keep that. Don't keep the, oh, did I book it or not? That's not the important part. But the important part is where you're progressing, how you're progressing, and how you can get to that next level. Because if your pacing is great, maybe it's something else you need to work on. So just keep all your positives. Don't sit so much on the negatives. Another good advice that I had gotten when it came to film auditions was, like, leave it into the room. So do all your preparation the night before, stay up late, learn your lines, figure out the story, figure out what you want to do, how you're going to stand out, how's it going to be entertaining. Do all that stuff beforehand, get it solidified, and then when you go in the next day, you do the audition, you walk out of the room, you take that script, and you throw it in the garbage. You just get rid of it. You stop thinking about it. Because the more you think about it, the more it's going to hurt if they don't call you. Because it's like a punch to the gut when you put in all this work and all this passion into something and it doesn't branch out for you, doesn't work out. So just learn to let it go and just focus on the positives and move on to the next audition, to the next project.
Don't dwell. Don't dwell on it.
Yeah. And I know it's different for the animation industry, but I think you mentioned this before, but like you didn't start working at a studio right away. How does an animator get through that kind of rejection if they have it?
You're taught to kind of just accept that that's the way it is, right? You have to know going into it that you are not going to be the first draft pick all the time. You are going to get rejected outright a lot. Some studios demand a higher pedigree. Other studios are more entry level. But even then, sometimes their shows are fully crewed up and they're not hiring at the moment. So you can apply to as many as you want. But if they're fully crewed, then they don't need you. And on the opposite side is if, they're running a skeleton crew, but they have a high pedigree and you're just at a school, you're not quite what they're looking for. They don't just need someone to fill a seat. They need a strong skill set. And so one of the things that you learn, whether you're an actor or as an animator, is to thicken your skin. You kind of just understand that part of the creative business is that you're going to get rejected. You're going to get notes. Not everything you do is going to be perfect. It's not all going to receive praise. It's hard. Art is hard. It's hard to be original. That's what people crave, is they crave that originality, and to bring it out in yourself, in your work, in your acting, it can be difficult. And sometimes your particular brand isn't what people are looking for at the moment or ever or whenever, right? Even when I was working professionally, the shots that I would submit to the director, sometimes they'd be a one and done, they get passed right away. But a lot of the time they'd come back with notes, do this again. This is time too slow. We wanted it this way. Stick to the boards. You get a bunch of stuff that comes back for notes. And even though you thought your shot was great, the director goes, no, this isn't what we need. But you have to remember, we already have the job, right? Like, we're already the animator. So we're already doing the work, and we know that we're good enough to be doing the work, and now we're being sharpened, so to speak, by people who are above us in that way, right? They're sharpening our skills to be able to tell a story in a more efficient manner or more coherent manner. Whether it's acting or animation, it's the thick skin. You get notes. Even if I did a shot, let's say I'd done a few shots on Lego, and I was like, yep, that was awesome. This felt great. Lloyd's doing all these cool flips, and he's swinging his sword, or, Zane's doing this cool ice blast, or Cole, he smashes this beetle with an earth attack or something like that. But then it comes back and it's like, no, we don't want this, or this isn't right. Like, you get the feedback, and sometimes it stings because you worked really hard on it and you really liked the way that it looked and you thought that you nailed it. But sometimes it's just not what they need. And so you just have to remember that, yeah, you're capable of animating great things, and you're capable of acting out great things or doing good things. I mean, because you're already there doing it. It needs to be styled, fitted to suit the show, right? So because it was Lego, maybe it wasn't quite fitting the style, or if it was Polly Pocket, maybe it didn't quite fit the style, or if you're acting on Supernatural, maybe it's not exactly the way that the show runs or the show looks or what have you. So you just develop the mindset of, okay, it's fine. You don't get married to your work. You leave it there, you bury it, you go, and you build it up better next time.
But I like what you said, because it's really important to remember. It's like, you can animate, you can act, like, you can do it. Just because you get this rejection or you get these notes, it doesn't mean you're incapable. You're still very capable of doing this. It's
exactly.
Yeah, it's just timing didn't work out. Like, I mean, like, the best audition for the part that was going to bring me to the next level in film, I got the call back and they were going to hire me, but then another person that they cast in the episode, which was a more important character, turned out to be tall. And then because that person was tall, I became too tall. And it's just, sometimes that's just how it happens. Because I'm bald, if I audition for a show that already has like a predominant bald guy in like the leading cast, producers might be like, oh no, we already got a bald guy, next. Like, it's literally just that. It has nothing to do with your talent. So you have to remember you're still capable of doing this work, of doing these jobs, of animating this scene. You're still very capable. It's just sometimes timing doesn't work out and you just have to move on to the next thing.
Yeah, and sometimes, like not everybody likes cinnamon. Sometimes it's just not your flavor, right?
Yeah.
Eventually you're going to hit somebody who loves cinnamon, and they're going to eat you up.
Or maybe they learn to love cinnamon down the road, Like it's
Also true, yeah.
Don't give up on a studio just because like, I auditioned for these guys and they said I was too tall. I'm never going to do that ever again. No, that's stupid. Like that's dumb mentality.
Definitely, yeah. And you don't hold the grudge,
Yeah.
right? I mean, people are doing their job in the same way that you want to be doing yours, right?
And I mean,
so just because they're doing your job doesn't mean that they have a vendetta or something out to get you. So,
and I mean, if they keep seeing you, then obviously you're doing something right? Like you're appealing to them in some sort of way, so that they like you. They know that they want to cast you or they want to work with you. So just embrace that fact, take that positive out of the scenario of like, hey, you know what? This is the third time this casting director saw me, or this is like the third time this studio wanted to check me out. Like, great, cool. How many people get to be seen at least 3 times? Not a lot. Some people, they still want to see for a very long time. Take your positives where they are, and keep yourself mentally going. I also think that another thing that really helps my like mental issues when it comes to acting is having a lot of like outside hobbies or interests, because having a variety in your mind gives you a lot of other things to kind of think about and to kind of care about and to kind of work towards. So
it lets you put work away.
Exactly. And it doesn't box you into just like, oh, I am animator or I am actor. Like, you're a well-rounded person with a lot of interests and stuff. Even something like if you're like a car guy and you love your cars, a car show could be coming to town, and if you book this part, you won't be able to go to it. Well, fortunately, you didn't book the part, so now you can go to the car show, right? Like, it's again, taking the positives from all these types of scenarios, but just when you're a more mentally well-rounded person, I feel blows from the industry don't affect you as much. If you're very family-oriented, you still have your kids and everyone to go back to. It's just keeping your mind open to all the experiences,
Yeah, there can always be a silver lining. You can spin it usually almost however way you want to. But I agree, take the positives that you can, like take your wins and learn from your losses. Right? Stay mentally fit in that way.
And I just want that to be the first thing we touch on, just because I feel it is something that's so important for the creative person, that a lot of it is so much to do with their heart and their mind, that a rejection or a no, or feeling like you're trying to climb out of a pit and you just keep on falling in deeper and deeper, like it can be overwhelming sometimes to hear these no's, but just don't let it destroy your world. Don't let it make you think that you're incapable of something, because you're in these industries. It's not a walk in the park. Like anything that's worth having is not a walk in the park, So you got to take these blows as they come, and it's all about the strength that kind of come back from them, that sort of sets you apart from other people, that kind of help you get to that next level, to just build up your confidence and build up your assuredness of who you are and what you can do. It's worth it just to keep the fight going. Don't let it back you down. Don't let it beat you down. Just keep going. Keep going.
That's right. Persistence is the name of the game.
Yeah. All right. So physical healthy habits. I think it's going to be very different between
it is
between actor and animator. So if you go to an acting school, they do a lot of things with you. One thing they really emphasize, which I personally understand why they put so much emphasis on it, but I don't think it's the be all end all, and that's like yoga. Yoga is such a huge thing in theater school. And I get it, because they want their actors to be able to move in any sort of way that a part requires, right? So I get that. I support that. I understand that. But at the same time, too, a lot of us don't want to do yoga. And I know for me, like, I do yoga a few times a week, because there is a benefit to being my size. It's sort of the Chris Farley thing, being my size and being able to put myself in the positions I can put myself into. So there is a benefit to it, but I'm a bigger fan of weightlifting, and I was really upset that my theater school was like, don't lift weights while you're here. And I felt that was, I thought that was personally, what's the right word? A bit irresponsible on their part, because if it's keeping me physically and mentally healthy, I should be doing it, first of all.
Yeah. Do you think it's because they'd be more concerned about whether or not you're injuring yourself, and so that you couldn't perform in a certain way?
No.
No.
No. They put, I shouldn't say it like this, but they put you in risk already, of like hurting yourself.
Sure, fair enough. I just figured I'd play devil's advocate for a second.
Oh, no. Well, the whole reason why they don't want you weightlifting is because they want you to be able to like stretch and put your body in, like, basically for movement class, and again, it's a theater school, so their focus is the stage, and the stage will have a lot of those like stereotypical crazy theater shows where everyone's a living statue that's molding themselves in the different positions and doing all this crap, like
right.
the artsy fartsy stuff.
Yeah.
So like that, they want you to be able to do those types of things. They want you to be able to dance. They want you to be able to blah, 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 blah. So, and that's why I support it. That's why I support them saying like, hey, don't do this, because I understand where it's coming from a business perspective. But at the same time too, though, not all of us are going to sign up to audition for a show that involves like, oh, I have to fold myself into a tiny box. You know, like,
doesn't hurt to have it in your back pocket.
No, it does not at all. And I mean, like, if that's something that you want to work towards, I fully support it. But for me, I felt like mentally and physically I would have been better off if I could go lift weights like I used to.
You probably still could have, right? I mean, it's like
by the
they don't control you after hours.
Well, they keep you at school for like 12 hours a day. But but once you get to the upper terms, a lot of us start sneaking off to the gym, because you did have more free time when you got to the upper echelon. And so you would know there was a class that you didn't have to go to in the mornings, and so some of us would just not go, and we'd go to the gym instead. But that's that's what we wanted to do, so we did it.
I wonder if that policy's changed in like 10 years.
Well, from what I've heard, they did like one of those I forget the exact words for it, but it was like a culture audit to see so they contacted a whole bunch of old students, and they did like a survey to sort of like figure out if the school was like these kind of policies and blah blah blah, and apparently it did very, very bad. So
oh no.
So I'm thinking that if it did improve in the last 10 years, it didn't improve by a lot, even though I do know I was talking with one of the teachers maybe a year ago. I like the things he was saying that he was trying to put forward for the school. He was making some like really valid points that I'm really, because like my big thing too, and this kind of goes back to the mental health thing with actors as well, because we are in such an environment as actors where, I'm going to make this sound bad, but again, it's one of those things I do support. I'm just going to kind of knock it a little bit right now, is that they want to create a safe space for the actors, so you feel safe to express yourself any way you want. You feel safe
right.
to try things. Yeah, go ahead.
It's inclusive.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like the door is shut and it's just you and this group of people, so if you break down crying or whatever, it's fine. But what I didn't like about that scenario is that you couldn't get angry. Like, getting angry was not allowed. And my personal belief with anger is that it doesn't come from a place of hatred all the time. It also comes from a place of passion. So if you really care about something and it's not working out and you get upset, the only acceptable way to be upset in that scenario was to cry. And even though crying is good, and I feel crying is something people should be allowed to do, and it helps release things as well, just shouting the F word, I also feel helps a lot. There's whole like branches of psychology where like you go into a room and smash plates and stuff to like help your body get that all that aggression out. So when you're in this field where you're supposed to feel safe and secluded and that you can do whatever, if you're making loud noises or you're getting upset, for some reason that's not allowed. And so I felt that was kind of strangling a little bit on the mental health, because again, someone like me who's a bit more of an aggressive type personality, like when I get excited about something, I get like really like physical, and I'm like really loud about it. And I understand why some people might find that scary, especially being a guy of my size. Like, I can understand that and I can respect that. But at the same time, too, all you're doing is strangling me and my excitement and my happiness and my frustration. And you're forcing me to push it downward as opposed to expressing it in a healthier way. I feel like there's a lot of actors, I can tell you right now, I know tons of actors who get this kind of aggression that I'm talking about, who feel it a lot, and have just stifled it in themselves. But then I come around in the school and I see how upset people are, and I see that they want to scream and they want to throw stuff. I used to just walk around, I used to put my hand up and I'd say punch. I let them punch the palm of my hand. And I let them punch it until they got it all out of their system. Because that's what they needed. And once that happens, they calm right down. And so talking to that teacher back in December, one of the things he talked about was like healthy anger. And I was like, thank you, because that's exactly what I needed. And like nobody was there to let me do that or let me express that. Like I had to go help other people with it because you could see how upset they were and how they just wanted to hit something. So it's like, yeah, punch my hand, get it out of your system. So, and again, this kind of goes back into the physical now. I've sort of touched on it a little bit, where if you're in these acting scenarios and you're getting upset, you know, you're not booking auditions or you're in this show or you can't get this angle right for this like animation, sometimes you might just need to go to the gym, run it off, like work it out, like whatever it is, that might help you get past it. Because I know that's what helps me. When I'm really upset, if I can go to the gym and just start bench pressing, by the time I get out of the gym, it's all over. Like I'm done. I feel much better and I'm in a healthier state and I can go focus on the positive and get things done correctly. And on top of that, my body feels better. I feel it's a win-win, and I feel it's something that people shouldn't be told not to do it, when I feel it has such a great benefit to your mental and physical, your overall health, to just go to the gym, lift weights, if it helps you. If it doesn't help you, don't do it, obviously. If you're better with just a very slow, calm yoga, do it. You know, if that helps you focus and get all the bad out, just do it. But you just need to get it out of your body, because if it's in your body, it's going to constrict you, and you won't be able to say anything or do anything or move, and you're just going to make things worse. At least that's what I found for myself. Yeah.
Yeah, it's important to find a strategy for yourself where you can like actually vent, right? You need to get that out of your system in a healthy way. And you said healthy anger, and I wonder if that's like a term that could be used for like strategically exercising your passion in a way. Mm-hmm. Right? Because I don't know if anger is particularly the right word.
Well, like normally I talk about, I just call it passion, because I personally feel that anger is a part of passion. Because if you're that upset that you're getting right in the face and screaming, that to me comes from a place of like you really care, like whatever it is, like you really care about whatever that is. Now, I mean, like I'm generalizing with the term anger, obviously. So don't think that like just because someone's angry on the bus is that it's their passion, but I just feel it's derived from it, and I feel as like artists and how we express ourselves, getting that aspect of our lives and choking it isn't healthy for our progress as actors and performers and artists. I think it.
So you feel that the school probably should have done more to help you guys with like your physical fitness, your physical health.
Yeah, well, because I mean, I think the physical and the mental is connected. And so if you're unable to get what you need physically, then you can't really feed your brain properly either. And especially when you're in a scenario where your entire day is, okay, go to this class, try this acting scene, get told you're terrible. Now immediately go over to this class, do this acting scene, get told you're terrible. Now go over to this class where you're singing and you're not good at singing, so you feel terrible. You know, like that's sort of how it's set up.
Right.
And so like having a release of like, okay, I'm gonna go spend an hour bench pressing just to get this like I feel bad about myself out, I think it would have helped a lot more students than hindered. But because of the schedule they give you and the expectations they put on you, it's a very what is it called, with the blinders, they have their blinders on, and it's just they're looking at like there's only one way to do a thing, and it's like I disagree. I think there's multiple ways to do a thing, and you got to find the thing that works for you, that's healthy for you.
feels very old world instead of, forward thinking.
Yeah, I think that that's a big part of it, because this is how we've always done it. We've always just done it like this. So this is how it will work for you. And
It yields results.
but I mean, like, this school used to have like graduation classes of 4 people. If the class started with 12 and got whittled down to 4, I'm sure there's lots of reasons why that could have happened. But I can almost guarantee you that like 1 or 2 of those kids just needed like a more healthier outlet for their frustration.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. It doesn't sound like it's a very healthy place.
No, I mean, it's changed a lot from the 4 to 12 scenario. Because like my whole graduating class, I think every single one of us graduated. Oh no, wait, no, sorry, we lost 1 dude. I mean, that's still like a really good ratio, like 11 out of 12. Like that's pretty damn good. But that's because I had to change that. Over time they couldn't be as picky. Because I mean, there's lots of reasons why you won't make it through a school. Like there's tons of reasons why. So you don't really need to dwell on that. Again, just to go back to what we're sort of talking about here, I just think especially for actors, because like we get this whole mentality kind of beaten into our heads of like how an actor is supposed to be and how an actor is supposed to act. And so there's so many aspects of a normal individual that people try to snuff out in themselves, and that's extremely unhealthy. That's extremely negative. I mean, like I was joking around with a friend of mine recently about this, about how there's like a handful of bros at the theater school, and we could only bro with each other because it wasn't seen as like you weren't seen like an artist if you were a bro. But I mean, bros can be artists and artists can be bros. Like there's no reason to make that kind of distinction. And again, all you're doing is stifling someone's personality. And it's not like it's a trait that's evil. It's just it's just people who like hockey and football and working out as well as acting. Like those aren't bad things.
They don't fit the stigma or the stereotype.
Yeah, they want you to be wearing berets and talking about your pain. Like that's what they want.
Snap to clap. So I mean, I feel like we should kind of keep going here with what we're talking about with acting.
Sure.
And that your body and your voice, in the way that you were talking about them early on, like the French horn, they are your instruments. They are your weapons of choice. So developing healthy habits outside of what we were talking about for the past half hour, the mental state, right? So, I mean, it's very important to do your best to keep your mental health and a positive mindset. But what are other ways in which you keep your body healthy? How do you keep your voice healthy? What do you do?
Okay, so voice in particular, there are vocal exercises an actor should be doing every day. Openly admitting I don't do it every day, and that's one of my quote unquote bad actor things, is I don't do my vocal warm-ups every day. But I would also argue that most actors don't do their vocal warm-ups every day, and I think if you say that you do, you're either extremely dedicated and have a lot of discipline, or you're a dirty liar. One of the two.
Tangent.
But yeah, the vocal warm-ups, I mean, the thing is, a lot of the vocal warm-ups that I actually, when I do them, it's more so in the moment where like I'm standing at the bus stop and I can do this like tongue rolls, or loosening my jaw. I like a lot of the vocal warm-ups that are a lot like more fun and like kind of kiddish. So they have this thing about your resonators, and so like you have like your nasal one up here, and so you do this one and you go, I'm a greedy elf, like you do that, and that kind of helps open up Skeletor. Yeah, exactly, it's a Skeletor. And then then you can like wake up your chest by like just like tapping it like this. I just like watching the wave on Audacity as I did that. So it's, and just like things like that, like you can do those types of things without like doing a full warm up. A thing that kind of teach you in voice class is that you do what you need, sort of thing. So not everything you learn in a voice class is something you need to do every single freaking day. But things that are really good for your voice that you should be doing every day: drink water, drink water, drink water, drink water.
Can confirm.
Can confirm. Water is your best friend when it comes to your voice. just lubricates everything, and it just keeps everything moist so it doesn't dry out, so you can use your vocal cords for longer. And the reason why this is important, I should really just state this as well. If you have to do any kind of like screaming or yelling or singing on stage, you need your voice. Don't be talking all day. Keep your conversation minimal, drink your water, and do your vocal exercises every day. I'm more likely to do my vocal warm-ups when I'm doing a show or if I have an audition coming up. That tends to be when I do it more frequently than on a normal week. Another secret to your voice, green apples.
Green apples?
Green apples.
This is news to me.
Yeah, I don't know exactly why I can't remember why it helps, but I remember just being in class and they were like, eat green apples. And you start to eat green apples and all of a sudden your voice just gets fuller. Like it's something inside them. I can't remember exactly why, but it's part of my cheat sheet when it comes to my voice. Is like water, green apples, vocal warm up. And that's like all the kind of stuff I do.
I'm going to research the crap out of
You really
this.
should. Yeah. Now like as I'm talking, I'm like, I want to know why now. I can't remember. My buddy Scott, who is like very like when we did voice class, that's what his whole thing in theater school was like voice and stage combat. Those were like his two big things. And yeah, he was like always had green apples on him constantly. Like and his voice is amazing. So it's doing something right. What was the other thing you said? Something to like
hot water with honey and lemon.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's great. I don't remember that being a specific thing. Tea came up a lot. Green tea came up a lot. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like hot water.
I imagine just like hot liquids as well.
Yeah, maybe not hot chocolate. I think hot chocolate would be the opposite of good. But
well, I think anytime that you throw like a dairy product in there, it usually is not the best thing, right?
Kind of ruins the whole thing.
It can cause inflammation and like mucus development and all that good stuff.
Yeah, that's my issue, the mucus. What you want to do as an actor when it comes to your body, because a lot of your acting comes from your body as well. I mean, obviously. I feel what's the most important for me, and I think this works with a lot of actors, and I'm going to say, and this might come off as like ageist and maybe sexist, but like a lot of young female actors, they need to do this as well, is you need to ground yourself. It's really easy for us to get caught in our imaginations and kind of get out of the realm of reality and start playing really big and like, look, I'm acting. And that's the opposite of what you need to do. Like you need to just be in the moment.
I heard this once and it resonated so true with what the context was. And talking about grounding yourself, you really need to step outside yourself and look at yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
Look at the person in the mirror and really try to figure out who that person is, because social media is the great lie, right? Mm-hmm. And the quote is this: somebody's social media profile or social media feed or whichever is an artist's portrait of themselves. It's an artist's self-portrait. They dictate what they look like, what activities they appear to do. It's an artist's profile, basically, right? It's completely curated. Not everybody posts the bad stuff. Not everybody posts the rough and the hard stuff. Everybody wants the happy smile and the beautiful beaches and the nice bodies. I mean, think about all of those filters that exist on social media to make you look a certain way and the photo editing tools that come with it, right?
I mean, I've personally stopped posting any sort of like, here's me on set, or like, here's me coming out of an audition, here's me doing a thing. I've stopped doing that entirely. And I did that because when I'm not working and I see other people doing it, it makes me feel bad. Like I feel like a loser. I feel like I'm not going to make it. And so I assume other people feel the same thing when I post those things. So I've stopped doing it. Right. Because again, to go back to like an actor's mental health, if I'm seeing everybody else succeeding and I'm not, then I feel terrible. I feel like I'll never succeed. I'll never make it again. So
right, it's a detriment.
Exactly. And it's exactly like what you say, right? They're all posting the good stuff. No one's going to post like, oh, hey, thought I booked it, but I didn't. Like, no one's going to post that on their Instagram. They're going to post like oh yeah, I did it. And I completely understand why they do it. And I'm completely happy for other people who do it. But just, I know for me, the jealousy monster or the envy monster comes out of me when I see it. And I don't want to do that to other people. So I've chosen for their mental health, because of my mental health, not to do that. To try to keep everybody happy, you know?
Yeah.
So you just it's a tough thing to talk about, because it's so, like, if I booked with Marvel, I'd be like million pictures, right?
Right.
But then there's a part of me that doesn't want to do that, because all my friends who tried for Marvel and didn't get it, I don't want them to feel bad. So it's a weird balancing act, but it's just something to keep in mind, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. If you're an actor and you feel like it's totally cool to post all these things, I'm not going to stop you, because the issue's with me. The issue's not with you. The issue's with me. So you do what you got to do, man. I support it. It's awesome. But I also know that there's people who are like me out there, and I don't want them to feel bad. I want them to know that they have value and everything. So that's what I do there. But grounding. It's really hard to do, especially like as you were saying in today's world with everyone on Instagram and everything. But there's warm-ups that you gotta do where you plant your feet, you unlock your knees, plant your feet, unlock your knees, and you just close your eyes and you breathe. It's basically meditation. Meditation helps you get focused, and like all you have to do is feel your weight on the ground and the ground supporting you, and that's all you kind of concentrate on. You concentrate on your breath, and then when you feel really calm, then you think of something like your phone number. You know that. Who are you? You know who that is. Where are you? You should know where you are. So you just concentrate on those things, and it kind of helps you get focused into the room and try to help you, like you're physically present at that point. You're physically and mentally present, and that's. And I know for a lot of actors, when you get really excited on stage and you're jumping around doing all the fun stuff, to make that stuff grounded and more focused, you need to do that. And then you can go do that fun stuff, because it's going to start to make more sense of why you're doing this. And you can see the offers being made to you and the offers you're making to other people. It's very important. But I also want to talk in the physical sense. I've already talked about it a bunch, but to go back to Tony Barr and his, the actor's instrument is his body, his mind, and his voice. You need to maintain your body as well. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but you got to diet and you got to exercise. Now, I don't mean crash diet. I mean, like, don't eat 12 pizzas in 1 week. Like, keep yourself...
Eat your veggies.
Eat your veggies. Like, there's literally nothing wrong with eating veggies, bro. But it's you're going to get auditions for parts, and you're going to be perfect. But then they're going to say, like, oh, you got to do 10 sit-ups. And if you can't do 10 sit-ups, they're going to get the next guy who can. Like, that's just how that's going to happen. I know it's a stupid analogy, but trust me, it's come up. I've had, because I did Wing Chun, I had people, like, I had auditions for commercials where they wanted a fat guy to do a straight kick, like, right up into the air. Like, completely straight line. And it's like, well, I'm only level 3. Like, I can't do that and hold it. I can do it, but I can't hold it. And so they moved on to somebody else, right? So, like, that lost me a gig. But... like, that just means I got to work more and get to that kind of position. And I know it sounds crappy, and like everybody wants to have fun and eat their ice cream and all that, but you really got to take you got to take your diet into consideration. I'm not saying you have to go on Weight Watchers or anything, but just you got to maintain your body to be able to do things, to be...
Look after yourself.
Exactly, right? Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm doing the long way of saying it. Just look after yourself. And just because I like to go lift weights, you don't have to go lift weights. Just go for a walk every day. Like, whatever it is, it just kind of keeps your body moving, your body alive. Just do it. Like, it's again, if I'm playing the French horn and I have to go do an orchestra, like, in New York, I'm going to make sure my French horn is up, like... is pristine, like it's going to be beautiful, perfect French horn. And that also means for an actor, your drinking and your smoking, you should really limit. I'm not going to tell you what to do, because I like to have beer on occasion. I personally think smoking is the worst thing you can do as an actor, personally, because...
Especially for your voice.
Well, that's the whole thing. It messes up your voice completely, as well as it makes you smelly. And if you're acting close with somebody and they smell the cigarettes on you, it's going to affect the scene. Like, we can pretend like it doesn't, but we all know deep down it does. And that's another thing too. Don't be stinky. Just don't be
hygiene.
Yeah, hygiene is extremely important, especially if you're someone who has to do like physical or intimate scenes. Don't smell like poo. That's going to make it better for everybody.
You would think that that's a given, right?
You would think.
but let me take you off of the stage and bring you into the studio.
Yes, please.
Where people are a lot less likely to see you, right?
Yeah.
And so hygiene becomes an issue because there are companies that have to send out company-wide emails for hygiene reminders, right? So don't be that smelly guy or girl, right? Take a shower, look after yourself. Personal care goes a long way, especially towards mental health, and positive attitude. If you can look after yourself and do the little things for yourself, like sometimes a hot shower is enough to just refresh you, right? Or a cold shower if that's what you need.
I mean, like in my day job, we had to like look this up because it's a part of like Health Safe BC. Like literally, if you smell bad, it's going to cause everyone else around you to get sick and to get mad at you without knowing they're being like mean to you. They'll just start being mean to you because it's just like our animal brain takes over. And then we're just kind of like we want that person to get away from us because the quote unquote smell carries disease. So like, yeah, if you're going to work in a studio space where you're sitting next to somebody animating with them for hours and hours and hours and hours, like be courteous.
Take a bath.
Yeah, change your clothes. Like taking a bath is not just the only thing. You also have to change your clothes on a regular basis.
Do laundry. Yeah.
Oh, you don't have to do laundry. Buy a new shirt every day. That works too. But just
animators can't afford that crap. But let's stay in the studio space for a bit
yes,
here.
Please.
Yeah. I'm gonna say it's also important to keep a positive attitude, but I'm not gonna keep going into that because we talked at length about that. But when you start animating, one of the things that you don't want to be doing is doing it cold. And I'm sure that that's one of the things that you don't want to be doing acting. Before you go into a casting room, I'm sure that people have like little physical warm-ups that they do. But as an animator, one of the things that you do for sure is you have to stretch your wrists and you have to do your hand warm-ups and drawing exercises, little scribbles and garbage on the page, all the junky stuff. Just get all the jitters out of your hands before you get going. Just like before you lift weights or you go running. One of the things you should be doing is stretching, right? So you because you want to get the blood flowing to those areas so you're less likely to suffer from an injury. And it's the same when you're animating because your wrists and your hands and your fingers and your forearms all the way up to your shoulders, like you're using all those muscles when you're animating, and then you have to also try your very, very best to keep a good posture. I'm guilty of having bad posture as an animator from being hunched over a desk for many hours a day. But now I have a standing desk, and that's been helping me a lot. And so you always want to make sure that you're going into animation or work or wherever it is that you're doing. You want to do it warm. You don't want to be cold when you're doing it. Another thing that you can do to warm up is life drawing. So I'm not saying go to a life drawing studio at whatever time of day and go and do life drawing and then go back to work and be like, all right, I'm warmed up, I'm ready to go. Life drawing classes, at least as far as being open to the public, usually happen late at night. There are lots of websites that you can use, like Quick Pose, where there's a timer and there's pictures and you can just really quickly try to capture the pose, move to the next one, next one, next one. Do it for about 10 minutes or so until you're completely warmed up and your body's used to drawing the shapes and the contours and everything again. So just make sure that you're using a timer, though, because you don't want to be doing portraiture unless, that's what you're doing is a portrait. But if you're working in animation, there's a very good chance that you're not doing portraiture. You're doing gesture. So I'm going to bring up another thing that, you in the back there. Question.
So these drawing exercises, are these things that you would do before going in to meet like studio heads to get hired? Or is these things you just kind of do in your own time?
No, like before you get started working for the day.
Oh, okay.
So, you're sitting at your desk and, it's 8 a.m, getting ready to start open your shots. Just open up a blank Photoshop document or a sketchbook or whatever and just scribble. Get your hands warm.
Cool.
Because you don't want to be don't want to be doing it cold. You want warm hands. And I'm gonna bring up uh, a story from school for where we were when we were practicing layout and understanding how to label layout on dope sheet and layering things properly. So we did a layout assignment for an old Asterix and Obelix movie. We had to draw the layout, which is all of the keys and breakdowns and the background elements in all of their layers broken up. So there's tons of pieces of paper that you have to draw, and we had to draw the background on what's called pan paper. So most people who do traditional animation or 2D animation or 3D animation these days won't really know what pan paper is, but pan paper is a very long piece of paper so that when the camera pans, it's all continuous on one piece of paper. And so you have to slug out the pan paper and figure out how fast it's got to move across the screen, and then you have to match it with all the other elements on the screen. It creates the multiplane camera, the illusion of depth. With this particular scene that we were doing, Asterix and Obelix walk around their village in this little circle. And so they walk from off screen onto screen, around a tree in the middle of the village, and then back off screen. So it sounds very simple, but there's a lot of layering that has to happen in all of that, right? So you have to figure out, okay, they're walking beside each other, and at what point do they overlap? At what point does that tree overlap over the characters? And then once the tree is past them, like at what point do they stop overlapping and become separate characters again? And then there are characters in the background, like the fishmonger. And so when do you layer them over top? It's just all about timing and figuring out. It's not that it's crazy difficult logistically. It's a ton of drawing. Oh, yeah. And I mean like a ton of drawing. So you have to go through a rough pass and then a second pass and then a clean pass and a polished pass and all of this. And it's on paper, right? So you've drawn this thing probably like 4 or 5 times by the time that you're done. So one of the things about going to the particular animation school that I went to is the ramp up. They want to ramp up your skills so fast, and they have you drawing all the time. One of the things that happened with this Asterix and Obelix assignment, because of the sheer scale of it, it really hurt after a while. My hands and my wrists hurt a lot from drawing all these pictures all the time. So my wife will tell you, and I remember the story because I used to ride my bike all around Vancouver to and from. I don't live in Vancouver anymore. I miss my bike. But anyway, I used to ride my bike home. And when I would get home after working on these Asterix and Obelix things, my wife would fill our kitchen sinks with ice. And I would stick my whole arms into the kitchen sinks and just let them rest there because they're so sore. And it's not like I wasn't stretching my arms. It's just the sheer amount of drawing that we had to do, right? So you have to build up those muscles, and you have to do those warm-up exercises, and you have to stretch it out. Like, you don't want to be crippled before you leave school, so you want to make sure that you're doing everything that you can to keep your hands and your wrists and your shoulders, everything healthy. So
would you recommend like those like hand braces or whatever? Isn't it like a drawer's like hand mitten thing?
You mean like carpal tunnel?
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Well, like, you can get carpal tunnel as an animator for sure, but if you're just talking about the little black glove that you see a lot of animators wear, it's just a very particular type of fabric that when they're drawing on a digital tablet, their hand doesn't stick to the screen, so they can make like a more straight line, smoother strokes.
Cool. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, but the other thing that happened with this Asterix and Obelix assignment was a couple things. It helped me to build good habits in the way of keeping my hands and wrists and everything stretched out, but it also helped me to develop bad habits because the sheer magnitude of this assignment. What made this assignment magnanimous like this is that the timeline was very tight. We had a very small window to work on this, and so we had to make sure that anytime that we were working on it, we had it had our full focus. So I was working on it really late at night one night, probably like 2 a.m, and I was like, oh, I'm getting tired. I need something to keep me going. I gotta get this done. And so I cracked open a can of Coca-Cola, and I was like, this'll keep me awake. And it did not. It did not keep me awake at all. And so then there's like this little nagging thing in the back of my mind. It's like, well, what else can I do to keep myself awake? And then it's like the Jumanji drums started playing. It's like, doo, 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 doo. And I look over in the corner and there's my coffee maker. Up until this point in my life, I had never had a cup of coffee. And I feel like the reason is pretty stupid. And it's just me being like, nah, I'm going to be one of those people that grows up and never drinks coffee. And so I resisted drinking coffee forever up until this point. And then working on this Asterix and Obelix assignment, I was like, nope, I let's see what it is. Let's see what all the hubbub is about here with a cup of coffee. And now I'm addicted. I'm completely addicted. I cannot function in a day without my cup of coffee in the morning.
See, I was like you. I didn't drink it for years and years and years. I only had like one sip of an ice cap once, and it's because a pretty girl.
That's not even coffee.
But that's the closest I've come, and it's all because a pretty girl asked me to. Like that's it. I was like, oh yeah, you're pretty. I'll do whatever you say.
No, two ugly old Vikings were the reason that I had to drink some coffee.
It's a beautiful reason.
And when I did drink the coffee, it worked, and it probably worked too well being my first time drinking coffee because I was awake all night, didn't get any sleep working on this assignment, finished it, brought it to school, done. But it was too late by then. Like I had the coffee and now I drink coffee, probably too much coffee. And so part of the healthy habits thing that we're talking about here is, try to limit your intake of coffee. As delicious as coffee is, and as much as you love coffee, I'm sure. I love coffee. I know that. I'm a bit of a coffee snob now, full disclosure. But I try to limit myself to 2 cups of coffee a day. And they're usually in the morning. I don't want to drink too much past lunch. I've run my gamut of drinking coffee all day long, and my stomach has paid the price. But other things that I do to keep my body healthy and to keep my mind and mental state in a good place is I do things like exercise. I run ultra marathons, and I do weightlifting, very limited in a very limited capacity. Not like I used to. It's mostly just to kind of keep myself a little bit strong, keep my joints strong. My kids already do a lot of that for me. They ask me to throw them around all the time. I do yoga a couple times a week, and I really enjoy it as a form of meditation.
Yeah.
I find the stretch that I get from yoga and, just the quiet ambience that I can get from doing yoga to really quiet my mind is really, really peaceful. But for other people, you might find that journaling works better for you. You could try journaling and do some other things. But it really is important to take care of your mental, physical, and spiritual fitness. Now, this is going to sound weird, but I used to practice martial arts. And when I did, my favorite part about it was never the fighting. It was always these things called kata.
Kata.
And I found it because it filled a spiritual element in me, not because I found the Lord. No, it was because it was very meditative in a way. You just kind of get to go through these motions, and when you hit them just right and your muscles move in such a certain way, everything just kind of, you fall into that state of flow. And it really filled this spiritual meditative void that I had at the time. And so I found it very beneficial. So maybe martial arts is one of the outlets that you can try.
And to kind of piggyback on that really quickly, when I was doing Wing Chun on a regular basis, that actually really helped me with a lot of, I go to these auditions, I think things are going great, but I'm not getting callbacks or anything. So I go to a kick pad, right? I just start laying into a kick pad, and then all that stuff kind of goes away, and I get more positive. And then you start sparring. It's like, well, I can't be thinking of the audition I had on Monday, because if I do, this guy's going to beat me up. So I got to focus in on what's happening here and now. And that's sort of what I meant about having activities outside of the profession. Get your mind off of the profession, enjoy other things.
Yeah, you don't have to just be an actor or just be an animator. Like, one of the things I do still is I play music. I have many guitars in my house. I play guitar. I'm probably not as good as some people, but that doesn't bother me. I play some music. I play some songs. It's fun for me and my family. And that's kind of what we're talking about here is, pursue other things. If you have other interests, that's great. If we were talking in the last episode about the Halloween party. If all I ever talked about was animation, people would label me as the animation guy, and I'm not super fun to talk to because that's all I talk about. And oh, here comes this story again, and oh, here comes that story again. Go have experiences, go have fun. It's healthy to get away from work, right? Anybody who works in like emergency services, or is a police officer or firefighter, or a nurse or construction worker, almost anything outside of the creative field, one of the things that they don't want to do when they go home is their job, right? They don't want to go home after a day of pipe fitting or a day of bricklaying and go lay more bricks. They want to go do other things. They want to play Xbox. They want to,
work on their car,
play football, work on their car.
Whatever.
They want to watch hockey, like you said earlier. They want to do stuff, play board games. Yeah. Be a person outside of your job or outside of school.
Or
maybe don't just be the thing.
Maybe your construction worker likes to go home and paint, right? Literally nothing wrong with that, right?
Or teach, like some of those people go on to teach painting classes, like those paint and wine classes are becoming really popular, or are really popular. So another thing that I just want to touch on, it'll be kind of like my final thought for this, is if you find yourself struggling with imposter syndrome or lacking confidence in your art, where you feel like, no, there's no way I could possibly do this, or there's no way that I'm good enough to do this or that. Okay, I'm leading this into social media again because I really feel like social media is poison.
Mm-hmm.
Consider this spectrum: either staying away from social media because it's making you feel that way, and that's not fair or right. Or if you're, you want to stay on social media and you want to stay connected and you want to show people your art, get onto social media. But here's the catch: find a community on social media and make yourself a part of it. Don't just be on social media for the sake of, I'm going to get 1 million followers. Because that's where the toxic behavior starts to lay in, right? If you're doing it for the love of, let's say that you're a really big fan of Spider-Man, and you find there's a community of artists on Instagram who love drawing Spider-Man, or Venom, or Carnage, or who have you, right? Anybody in the Spider-Man universe, and then they're pretty dedicated to drawing Spider-Man, and everybody's got their own style, or, maybe they're really leaning into a certain particular artist or whatever. Make yourself a part of that community. Introduce yourself and make those connections. Do the networking. Become a part of it. Enjoy it. But don't be a butthead, right? Don't be the person that goes in there and be like, oh, this Spider-Man sucks. Like, this isn't like a comic book cover, or this one doesn't look like Spider-Man, or since when does Spider-Man wear that suit? Don't be that guy. Make yourself a part of the community and be nice. Play nice. Be healthy in that way, right? You want to form healthy relationships, and so you sometimes have to put your foot forward, and you have to be the one that's giving compliments.
I couldn't agree more. It is like, if I, first of all, I don't like social media either, and I do feel that it is a very negative place most of the time, but you choose if you're going to be that negativity or not. I purposely, with my Facebook, I just share cute animals, wrestling things, and things I think are funny. I try my best.
And you won't find me on social media because I'm not there.
I think that's a good place to wrap this all up.
Sure.
Do you want to just give a quick summary of what we talked about?
Sure, yeah. So when we're talking about being creative as an actor or as an animator, some of the most important work that you can do is on yourself. And that's going to help get you ahead. So whether it's keeping a positive attitude, even though you're going to face rejection over and over and over again, what can you learn from that rejection? And how can you beef yourself up from that rejection? What can you learn? Take the positive, find the silver lining, grow. Don't dwell, grow.
Great. Love it. Couldn't put it any better myself, sir. Well,
Yeah.
It was nice chatting to you about this.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
I hope the audience will learn something from us. And
Yeah, hopefully. And we'll go back into the social media thing one more thing. If you'd like to network with us on social media, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook.
all on the Frames for Thought podcast.
Or on Twitter at Frames Podcast.
Yeah, Frames Podcast on Twitter. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, please
Yeah,
join them, interact with us. If there's a specific topic that you want us to talk about, message us on those platforms.
us know.
Yeah, we will gladly look into it and see what we can come up with for you. All right, everyone. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Stay healthy, stay safe. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Cheers, all. See you later.
The Frames for Thought podcast uses royalty-free music from Track Tribe and RKVC. Thanks for listening.